I just wanted to show you how wet it's been around here. I mean, the pond is clear up into the grass on the edge. It's pretty soupy out here. That would be difficult to mow. And you're not going to do any mowing over here either. That's just a pond there. A big pond of water goes all the way back through there. Well, hey cats, what's happening? It's good to have you join me today. Good to see you. How y'all doing? I had to show you the swamp in the backyard. It's been nothing but rain here. In fact, yesterday we actually had flash flood warnings, thunderstorm warnings, and it rained again. For like the fourth or fifth day in a row. So, yeah, we're pretty wet here. And the weird thing is, you know, out west there, they're going through drought conditions. Dry as a bone. The lakes are drying up. We're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff going on in this world right now. You know, everything from the weather patterns, fires and mudslides and government issues and, I mean, you name it. This COVID thing. I mean, the whole world's out of whack, and it's tough to deal with it sometimes. I just saw on the news the other day that you have to have a reservation now to go to a national park. A reservation? I hate reservations, you know. I hate being on like a timed schedule, especially when you're doing something like going to a national park or going camping or something. Yeah, you can't find a campground now. You can't just drive over to the campground and register and get a campsite. No, you have to register ahead of time. And good luck with that, because they're all sold out, they're all booked out. So even that's a pain in the neck. But, you know, say you're on a vacation, you don't want like a rigid schedule. Oh, we got to hurry up because we got to be at Yellowstone on Thursday. We got to be there. You know, no. I like to take my time, do things, you know, on my own schedule when I'm on a vacation, when I'm taking a trip. And I hate the fact that, you know, now the government's set up where you have to have a reservation to enter the park. There's a road that runs through part of Yosemite in California. And some friends of my brother had to pass through there on a business trip they were taking. And as they entered the park, they were stopped and they said, "You have to have a reservation to go through the park." And they said, "We're not visiting the park itself, we're just using this route to get from A to B." And they said, "All right, well, then you cannot stop. You have to keep going. There's no stopping, no sightseeing. You just have to go straight through. And if you get caught, there's going to be thousands of dollars in fines." They were just baffled. They said, "Are we allowed to stop and use a restroom facility?" They said, "No, not even that." What kind of craziness is going through this world? You know, I remember back when I went to Yellowstone, I rode this fat boy out there, and it was a challenging ride, but it was well worth it. But back then I didn't have to have a reservation. I didn't have to even have a reservation for a campsite. I just rode right in there. So it was a really pleasant trip. I really enjoyed it. I got a lot of good memories of it. I stayed in Cody, Wyoming the first night, and, you know, outside of the east gate of Yellowstone. Set up a camp there at a little private campground. It was nice, quiet. Left there in the morning, and I rode in towards Yellowstone. When you come into the east gate, I think they call it Fishing Bridge. And one of the things that I guess I didn't even fathom was how huge Yellowstone Park is. It's enormous. You're not just going to drive around the park in a day and see everything. It's not even fathomable. There's just too much to see there. Everything from wildlife to the natural wonders that are presented there, you just can't see it all in a day. You'll have to, if you're only going to be there for a day, you better pick and choose what you're going to see. Because then top on that, the roads in the park are like 25 mile an hour. So there's no hurry up and get to the next site. There's you get caught speeding in there. There's fines. Because there's a lot of wildlife out there on the roads. I was riding around the loop, and here comes a bison, a huge bison, like right down the middle of the road, walking right down the center line. And I was afraid to ride past him because I thought, man, all this big cow has to do is like swing his head, and boop, he could knock this bike right over, and I'd be laying on the road in big trouble. And he wasn't moving one bit, so I pulled off on the berm, shut my bike off, set the kickstand down, and I just backed up into the woods a little ways. And he just lumbered on down the road right past me and just kept right on going. He didn't get out of the way for traffic or anything. It was just like, I own this road, this is mine, and get out of my way. It was pretty cool. Saw a lot of other cool sights there too, though. Of course, there's a lot of geysers, where the volcanic steam builds up underground and then it shoots up. There mud pots where the muck just bubbles like it's cauldron. And one of the most amazing things that I saw there, to me, was when I went and saw Old Faithful and watched that eruption. And of course, they have it timed. It only goes off every so often, like once, I don't remember what it was, like once an hour or something, it blasts off. It just builds up all this steam underground, and then once the steam reaches, a certain pressure, it blasts up through the ground and shoots up. But it was pretty awesome to watch because I never realized the power of it. I mean, the whole ground was like rumbling underneath us, and the thing was shooting like 100 feet up in the air. Now, I don't think it still has the power that it did. They said that the Old Faithful is kind of losing its steam, so I'm not sure it's quite the show that it used to be. But I'd always seen pictures of it in my history books in school and stuff and just never thought much about it. But when you actually see it in person, it's really a spectacle. It's really something to see. There's a lot of wildlife there. You're going to see elk for sure. The elk are all over the place. But there's also moose. There's, bear, of course, wolves, the bison, just about everything you can think of. But you'll be lucky to see them. Now, as you ride around the loop there in Yellowstone, you'll see like all the cars pulled off on the side of the road because they're all like, oh, wait a minute, what is it? Oh, there's an animal down there in the woods. And it just causes a chain reaction, and then everybody wants to stop and see what they're looking at. Now, sometimes it's something legit, but a lot of times, you run up there to see what it is, and they're like, there was a deer, and it just went behind those trees. Oh, so there's like 100 cars stopped here for that? But that's the way it is in Yellowstone. Everybody's eager to see the wildlife sightings, and so it's... I pulled the bike off on the side of the road one day, and there was a beautiful overlook that overlooked the Snake River and the river valley there, and you could just see for miles. It was a beautiful view. And I stopped there, and I was just looking out across there, and pretty soon this car pulled in and stopped, and they get out. And it was a carload of Asians, and they're looking at me, and then they're trying to look to see what's he looking at. And before I left, there must have been 6 or 7 cars pulled in there, and they're all doing the same thing. What are you guys looking at? What are you guys looking at? I just kind of left, and they were all still there trying to figure out what I was like. I didn't see anything. I was just enjoying the scenery. But that's the way it is in Yellowstone. Now, I had heard that there's places, and I don't know if it's in Yellowstone or not, where you can't even ride anymore. You have to take a bus. Yeah, you have to leave your vehicle parked in a parking lot, and then you get on a bus, and they take you around and drop you off. Boy, that sure takes the fun out of it, doesn't it? When I was there, I wanted to see wildlife so bad, and all I was seeing was elk, lots and lots of elk. So I stopped at the nature center there, and I went and talked to one of the rangers, and I said, I would really like to see some wildlife, maybe a bear sighting or something, some wolves, anything. And she said, well, it's pretty hard, just to tell you here's where you can see something, because it just doesn't happen that way. But I can tell you where a neat place is that you might like to try. If you go up to the north gate and follow the loop around to the east, there is a service road on your right, and they had a sign there with a number or something, like road number 17 or something like that. And she said, take that. And she said, that'll wind back around through the wilderness for about 30 miles or so, and it'll bring you back out onto the main road. So I did that. I went up there, and it was like a dirt road. Most people would have just drove by it because it just looked like nothing but a fire road or a service road. I took this bike, around there. I thought, okay, this is exactly where she told me to go. And I followed this dirt road for miles and miles and miles, looking, and boy, it was very remote. I thought to myself, boy, if I break down out here, it's going to be a long time before somebody comes through here, because I don't see anybody back in here except me. So I'm riding along, and I see something up in the road ahead, and I'm like, what the heck is that? It's a big old coyote, and he's sitting like right in the middle of this dirt road. So I kind of approach him with the bike, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to get up and run. But no, he doesn't. He just sits there. He just sat there looking at me, and I stopped, and I sat there for a minute, and I, hit the throttle a couple of times, thinking, well, he'll run away. But no, he didn't. So I just clicked it in gear and went as far over to the left as I could and went around him, and I actually lifted my leg up when I went past him, because I thought, I don't want him to snap at me or something, I had my foot ready to kick as I went past him. But he just sat there, and he just kind of watched me ride right past him. Apparently he had never seen a motorcycle before and had no fear of it whatsoever. Maybe he was sick, I don't know. But that was about my only wildlife experience that I actually had there, other than seeing the elk. I did have a nice campsite there. Was pretty easy to find a campsite the first night, and boy, the coyotes and the wolves were just howling all night long there. The second night I went down to another campsite, and it was pretty much full. It was booked up, and I had rode around the campsite 2 or 3 times, and I was there in the morning. You get there in the morning when other people are leaving, and then you're more likely to get a campsite. Well, as I'm putting around there for the second time, this young gal comes walking out to the road and stops me. And she said, hey, are you looking for a campsite? And I said, yeah, I hope to find one. And she said, well, I'll tell you what. I have this campsite right here. And she was like a backpacker. She had a little car, and she had a tent set up there. She said, but you're welcome to set your tent up on my campsite. You could just park next to my car, and there's plenty of room here for another tent. So I took her up on that offer. I parked my bike there and set my tent up on the other side of the campsite away from her, and that was pretty cool, and I split the cost with her for that campsite. Now, I don't even know her name. I don't know who she is. I never had did anything with her. All she did was share the campsite with me. So just to put that out there. It wasn't like a hookup or anything, no. But while I was at the campsite, right behind the campsite was this fire road that went back into the woods. It was just all grass and weeds. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to hike back there and see what's back there. Well, I hiked back probably about a mile or so. And, you know, I'm looking, I'm thinking, boy, this is going to be a great place if I'm going to see wildlife, because this is, you know, now I'm getting out into the wilderness here. And I was in like this meadow area, and the scenery was just incredibly wonderful. But I smelled something, definitely smelled something dead. And I started looking around, and I could see remnants of bones and stuff. I walked a little further, and here was like a elk that had been pretty much stripped out, down to the bone. And there was bones scattered all over the place. And right away, the first thing I thought of was, that's got to be a bear kill, and because a bear would only destroy an animal like that, tearing it all up. I'm going to go report this. So I went back to the ranger station, and I told them, I said, hey, right behind campsite number blah, blah, blah. I said, there's a fire road. And they said, yeah. I said, I walked maybe a mile back there, and there's like a bear kill back there. And they alerted really quick, and they said, we're going to go check it out right now, because those kind of things are very serious, especially within that kind of range to a campground. We don't like that. I don't ever know if they went and checked it out or not, but it was interesting nonetheless. But there, my trip to Yellowstone was a fabulous one. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time there. From there, I rode down through the South Portal and camped at the Grand Tetons at Jenny Lake. Oh, what a beautiful place that is, too. Wow. Breathtaking. I sure wish I could relive those moments again. Maybe I will someday, who knows. Chances are the older I get, those chances seem to dwindle away. Life seems to take a different turn for everybody, doesn't it? Well, thanks for watching today, guys. I appreciate all your support. My wife says hi. She's doing well. Today we go in and get some more scans on her brain, and hopefully there's nothing going on there either. Well, I will catch you next time, guys. Have a good one.